Hi, my name is Amanda. I've been fishing pretty much my whole life. My grandfather used to take me fishing for trout and cod jigging, but I've only been introduced to fly fishing about 3 years ago, and I've been hooked ever since. It's definitely a really good passion of mine. I think about it all the time, especially like once June comes, you're always wondering the next day, like when you're going, what river you're gonna hit. My boyfriend and I, we don't really take like vacations outside the province. Our vacation is normally like all over the island, up to Labrador. And we just try to hit every single river that we can possibly do from June right up until October. And it's definitely a great passion of ours, and the sport really intrigued me. So I'm going to tie a dark wing blue charm on a size 8 hook with a red butt. And this is actually one of my favorite flies because it's one that I tied a couple of years back and I caught my very first salmon on the Torrent River. So last season, my boyfriend Mike and I, we done our annual fishing trip. We normally go across Newfoundland first and then go up to Labrador, and we usually make it about 3 to 4 weeks trip out of it, which is really cool. We're very fortunate we're able to do that actually, because not a lot of people can take that so much time off for fishing. So our first river we stopped to was the Torrent, and we had a total of 5 days there, and the first 4 I had absolutely no luck. Mike was fishing and getting them in as fast as he can throw his hook out, and I used to hook them but just couldn't land anything. And of course we had 1 day left, and we decided to make a full day of it, so we got up around, I think it was like 5:30, made it to the river for 6, and I fished probably 4 or 5 hours and like took a couple of breaks and finally took a lunch break, finally got chatting with a few of the local guides that were there. One of the guys, his name was Jeff Biggin, I'll never forget him. And he was there with 3 men from Nova Scotia. And anyways, he asked how my trip was going so far, and of course the experience itself is like obviously worth it, but I told him that, not having much luck at all, I've only been fishing for 3 years. So he gave me some tips and advice, which was cool. That will definitely go a long way. And I just continued on after fishing and wasn't having no luck. So before he left, he actually offered to take me out in the middle of the river, because we were fishing the wing pool on the Torrent, and he offered to guide me out on the wing. And I mean, I would never want to do that myself, just not experienced enough to be out in like the middle of the river. It's just too deep for me, I'm scared. And anyways, that was a cool experience, but the wind picked up, and he actually taught me how to do like the backhand cast, which was pretty cool, but just it was way too windy, so we had to head back in. And anyway, just kept fishing on for a few more hours, and anyway, he was getting ready to leave with his client, so I came on back in and I thanked him and said bye, and he asked me to see my fly box. And he said, "What flies did you tie?" Because I told him that I did start tying my own 2 years ago. And he said, "Point out a few that you've tied yourself." And I pointed out a dark wing blue charm with a red butt. And he said, "Tie that one on now." He said, "I'll guarantee you'll catch a fish with that before I leave here today." So most people normally use moose or squirrel tail, but I actually find that fox ties in a lot nicer and it just looks nicer. So he tied it on for me, and I tried it, but of course no luck. He was there for maybe an hour after, and he went on. I said bye to him, and I'd say probably 6:30 that evening I finally hooked another fish on that fly he tied on for me. And now I'm used to fishing for trout my whole life, so that's basically how I treated it. had no idea what I was doing. I was just like wheeling him really fast. And anyways, I say I got her in probably at about 5 minutes, which is probably too fast, but anyways, I don't know how I managed it, but I did. Mike was there talking, the whole time, like telling me step by step what to do with the reel and the rod and like my body movements and stuff. So I mean, with the advice from him, taking me through step by step, and then of course the stuff that Jeff told me, like prior to when that happened, it definitely helped, because I landed the fish, my very first fish ever, beautiful, probably 4 or 5 pound grills, and the adrenaline was absolutely crazy. I've never experienced anything like that in my entire life, because I mean, trout is fun, don't get me wrong, but just there's nothing better than catching salmon. It's addicting.